Auspicious greeting to all. I am Venerable Juedi from Nanhua Temple, South Africa. Today I'm sharing the topic on 8th wind in Buddha-dharma Pure and Simple. You can find the link to this book at the description below. When I was young, I enjoyed playing seesaw. I will compete with my playmate to get the other person above the ground. There was so much fun. However, as adults, ups and downs in real life is not something that we find it funny. What are the ups and downs that bother people? In Buddhism, they are called the 8 winds or the 8 worldly conditions. They are made up of 4 opposite pairs. They are praise and ridicule, honor and defamation, gain and loss, joy and sorrow. These are the attachment and aversions that yoke us to the cycle of suffering. The stronger our attachment towards those conditions on the left-hand side, the stronger is our aversion towards those on the opposite. It is easy to understand, but in practice, we will find it difficult not to get caught in attachment and aversion. Well, who don't like honor? Who don't like joy, gain, and praises? We would like to have all this, and we would reject ridicule, defamation, loss, and sorrow. We are not hard selling that you should not go after joy, gain, honor. Rather, while having all this, we must also be aware that in this world, it is not all perfection. It is an imperfect world. When you have joy, there are times when you have sorrow. How will you manage the emotional roller coaster? Our aim is to make our path less dramatic. In many times, a glance, a facial expression, or a gesture can thrust us into immediate depths of despair and suffering. Issues like dispute over physical space or personal interest can often tear through one's heart like a typhoon or shakes one's spirit like an earthquake. Similarly, investors can be caught in a frenzy with every rise and fall of the stock market. People suffer from every promotion or demotion at work. All these blow afflictions into one's mind. These 8 worldly conditions come into our daily lives, sometimes without us knowing it. The ups and downs, as well as praise and slander in life, are inevitable parts of life. As such, Venerable Master Xun Yun proposed half and half as a philosophy of life. As the day is filled with light, night is filled with darkness, spring is warm, and winter is cold. There are good times and bad times, but usually we are only ready to accept the good and we tend to reject the bad. The reason for such responses is that we can't see the logic behind. That is, the working of this thing called impermanence. Impermanence is not against us. It's just a universal fact. Impermanence let us know that things will never be the same. Let's see how the eminent monks respond to the 8 worldly conditions. Once, Master Shan asked Master Shide, "How should I deal with someone who slander me, bully me, insult me, ridicule me, disparage me, belittle me, offend me, or deceive me. Like Master Shan, I think most of us face such incidents in our life. Let's move on and hear his reply. Just tolerate him, be patient with him, let him be, avoid him, respect him, ignore him, and wait for a few years to see what becomes of him. This method requires constant practice because our mind is used to the old way of responding to such matters such as slander, bullies, or insults. If we are not mindful, we will respond with anger, sadness, or disappointment. But if we see this in terms of the half and half concept by Venerable Master Xing Yun, we learn to be patient and embrace the less satisfactory half. Hatred cannot be resolved by hatred. If we don't learn to forgive, we won't get liberation. Recently, a devotee came to me and talked about some interpersonal conflicts. She has been harboring resentment towards another lady who slandered her. The resentment lingered in her mind for almost half a year. Sometimes, we can't stop people to do harm to us, but we can stop the harm in our mind. If we calm down and reflect, yes, that person slandered me half a year ago, but the incident had passed long time ago. What makes this hatred continue is solely controlled by us. We cannot accept incidents like ridicule, defamation, loss, and sorrow. We have this strong aversion within us, and as such, we keep on thinking about the incident. We are like a malfunctioned recorder, replaying this incident day after day, hour after hour, minutes after minutes, second after second. The intensity grows every second. We don't want to self-liberate. In fact, we take a rope to tie ourselves. You might think that is nonsense, because she is the one who slandered me. Well, being slandered was the first arrow being shot into you. But refreshing the incident every now and then in your mind is the second arrow shot by yourself. From these 8 worldly conditions, we can see our attachment to praise, honor, gain, and joy, and that we find it so difficult to accept the other opposites. Once we get this concept right, then the rest is about application. We have to keep on reminding ourselves of all these 8 worldly conditions are not only happening to us, but everyone. And through reflections, we can don't grasp at praise, honor, gain, and joy. Then we could face ridicule, defamation, loss, and sorrow with greater ease. We would not put all the blame to other person for the mental afflictions that we are suffering, which in this case is for half a year. Tolerance and patience cultivates one's magnanimity, so we get to be broad-minded. We learn to accept others' wrongdoings and faults. Avoidance and letting others be are ways of preventing conflicts. Respect and space show regard for an opponent, allowing one to become greater and stronger. It is like playing basketball without opponent. A match cannot happen. Some people choose to live in seclusion to avoid the 8 worldly conditions. But even if you choose to stay alone in an island, you will still be unhappy or dissatisfied. You may be unhappy with the weather, the insects, the food, and the list goes on. The external environment or people may make us unhappy, but avoidance is not the way. There is a parable in a Buddhist commentary. During those ancient days, people usually walk with bare feet. When walking through a forest, you step on stones, twigs, etc. You can choose to clear all this away, but the forest is huge. This is impossible. However, if you put on a pair of thick socks, there are no shoes during those days, you can move around freely in the forest, enjoying the scenery, the fragrance, and others. The Dharma is like a pair of socks. It keeps your mind protected from affliction. Life is filled with trials of honors, disgrace, gains, and losses. In complacency, one feels a sense of pride. But in disappointment, one should not brood over gain and loss, or live in self-denial. Impermanence means that honors, disgrace, gains, and losses are all fleeting. If one is attached towards them, one will be shackled by them like a prisoner. Hence, one should have a mindset as illustrated by the verse. When the wind blows through scattered bamboos, as soon as it passes, the sound also leaves. When a goose flies over a winter pond, as soon as it passes, its reflection too flies away. When immune to the harms of poisonous arrows shot by malicious speech, defamation, honor, pride, or disgrace, one can truly be considered carefree, unmoved by the 8 winds. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy the breeze when the wind blows.